Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Pruitt. Hope you're doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. And I just want to do a speed edit, if you will. Felt like taking a look at this shot from Shanghai, and I wanted to give it a little more mood and atmosphere, if you will. So let's go ahead and get started with this edit. Hopping into Lightroom, starting with our little typical adjustments and whatnot, and then of course we're going to move into Photoshop and play around a little bit more. So let's go ahead and hit that speed ramp and get started. Okay, now that that is done, I'd like to go ahead and hop on into Photoshop, play around just a little bit with some of the mood and atmosphere, and just try to punch it up just a little bit. But of course, once I get into Photoshop, the very first thing I'd like to do is resize it and give it a little more sharpening. That way we have plenty of texture to work with. So let's go ahead and get rolling. So now as I'm looking at this, I think I could give a little more drama to the headlights here on these cars. So what I want to do is take a sample of the color, because they're not always 100% white light. There's usually a little bit of a color hue in there. And I have some brushes that you can download for free. I'll put a link in the bottom of this video. And these brushes allow you to make little stars, if you will. So let's go ahead and put these brushes on, add a little bit of blur and glow to it, and make these headlights pop. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just change the opacity a little bit so it looks a little more natural. Now I still want to play around with this streak texture. Looks good, but I really want to make it dramatic. So I'm just going to draw a little selection around it and put another little high pass filter on it just to give it a little more texture. I think it'll look good. Okay, so now that I got the texture squared away on the street, I think that looks pretty good, but it's still missing a little bit of atmosphere. So I'm pondering just adding a little bit of a gradient, because I can use the gradient to give a little more glow around the area. You can play around with the different types of gradients. You can do a linear gradient, you can do a radial gradient, you can change the size, change the position, change the angle, and I typically just go in and experiment. So let's experiment with a little bit of a gradient just to give it a little more of a atmospheric glow, if you will. Now sometimes I like to add a solid color layer and use that as like an overlay, because sometimes that particular color can give you another mood or color cast as long as you play around with the blend modes. So I'll just experiment like I normally do, and sometimes you come up with something cool, give you a nice hue or a nice tint just to further the mood that you're trying to show off in your image. So let's just play around with this layer. Okay, so now let's get into another bit of fun, and let's add some more real deal haze. So I'm going to take a special brush. You can download a bunch of different brushes for Photoshop for free, and I have a bunch of smoke brushes in here, and there's one in particular that I like to use for scenarios like this. And the trick is you make it just the right size, but you also change the brush opacity. That way you're getting just the right amount of smoke created, and change the color to be what you think will fit your scene. And after you brush it in, you want to make sure you put a little bit of a Gaussian blur on it just to really make it blend in and feel like a hazy, foggy scene. So let's play around with it. Alright, so now that we about got it looking the way we want it to look, let's save all of these layers and hop on back over into Lightroom just to finish this job off. Okay, and that is it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you hitting the like, share, and subscribe button. Take care.